Hi, it's the Care from Double Forte, and we're dropping our next POV in the world of public relations, communications, and everything that's going on. And the topic is what is going on with generative search and what does it mean for PR marketing and owned media? Because it's a big shift that we all need to be aware of that will continue be obviously be continuing to evolve over time. But if we're not aware of it now, we can't adjust our marketing, our comms to actually make sure that we are showing up like we want to, because the rules have just changed a bit. So, back in May of this year, Google had their I/O conference, and they had done this before, but they really talked about how they're positioning Gemini sort of across the whole platform. But really, I'm just going to talk about search right now in terms of the Gemini search. So when you go into the Google search bar, being a place where now Gemini AI is the first result. And it really competes with what goes on with ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, you name it, in terms of how it's generating results that would be seen during search. So if we think about this AI mode for search is sort of shifts the game in terms of what will rank in at the top of every page. So as an example, when you search for my name, the first things you're going to see are my company, you're going to see my books, maybe you'll see my LinkedIn, and then pages 2 through 99 are all the podcasts I've been on, the articles I've written, all that kind of stuff. That's old search. If you search today, you'll get a Gemini answer about me and then sources. And those sources are much like ChatGPT. When ChatGPT comes with an answer, it actually gives you an answer as opposed to just giving you links to go find out your own answer. And this is why they say it's could be wrong, because they are taking from sources to come up with an answer to answer the question you've asked it. And maybe they're taking from the wrong sources, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So something to think about is, so the search is changing and Google search, far outstrips ChatGPT search. That is absolutely true. However, the generative AI search is now replacing regular just link search. And um, that has a big impact in how we think about public relations, media relations, and why actually it's a really great thing for PR. Generative search is a great thing for PR because what it means, what the result is that media sources, local media sources, trade media sources, industry media sources that usually have smaller UVMs than the big Yahoo.com, NewYorkTimes.com, that kind of thing, are have more weight in generative search than they would in just ranking by UVMs. So those stories that sometimes are like, oh God, it's a small audience, but it's a really relevant audience means that it's more important. So you can go on over to doubleforte.com and into the resources and download the POV so you get all the background because we give you all the background. And then um, we tell you how to think about this for going forward for as you think about it. So, um, in terms of maximizing your impact, no longer are you going to be optimizing for Google as a distribution, um, and visibility are redefined. So the Gemini has really upended how the platform works through an AI overview and AI mode for search, which I'm sure you've all seen. Plus, ChatGPT, Copilot, and Claude are also gathering, processing, learning, and outputting information to anyone who makes a request. So Gen AI still relies on original journalism and on owned content. So credible content. So credible content is that content that companies publish themselves. They put it on their blogs. They put it in a press release. These things are credible content that live and can be sourced. So when we talk about an authoritative source, local and trade news are more crucial than ever since AI deems them experts in their fields. And these smaller publishers allow scraping more than some of the bigger news sources, because that's going to continue to be an issue. Now, when you think about the content now, just let's talk about press releases. The press release was dead, then it wasn't dead, then it was upside down, then it was dead again. Um, we've talked about this before at Double Forte. We have favored long form journalistic style press releases now for over 4 years. And so our press releases, which used to try to get onto a page with links in an inverted format, are now 2 to 3 pages long regularly, and they are performing exponentially better than the short form press release of, even 5 or 6 years ago. In terms of pull through, in terms of being able to be used, lifted and used to generate stories, the long form press release has overperformed, totally overperformed as short form for the last several years, and will keep overperforming based on uh, the what's going on with generative search. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the content is structurally AI friendly and machine readable. So thoughtfully designed content is going to allow the LLMs to deliver accurate and relevant outputs. So if you can make it AI friendly, so readability. So your Yoast score, I think it's a Yoast score when you do your on your website blog. You want a high score of readability, skimmability, right? So skimmability, using headers, using bolded, using um, bullets so that you can actually see, you can skim down a document and get a gist of what's going on. Skimmability makes all the difference in terms of it being able to be AI friendly and machine readable. And you want to be making sure that, regardless of what the source document is, that the file formats are not obscure, right? And that they are tagged with all the information they have. So LLMs are much faster at reading and comprehending information when it is clear, concise, and organized. So this is wonderful for humans. This is wonderful for PR people. This is wonderful for communicators and writers because this plays to our strengths. Also, avoid using overly complex language, um, jargon, etc. So you're going to because that is going to de prioritize your content as not as readable and authoritative. So you're one to I mean, frankly, just like I said on my podcast last week, you want to build your content to be AI friendly, which is actually human friendly, organized, not too much complex language, headings, subheadings, numbers, and bulleted list, bolded, so you can see things easily on the page. Super, super important. Like I said, owned content becomes even more powerful. So we have talked about websites, blogs, YouTube videos, podcasts, and more. They hold more weight and influence than ever before. Now they haven't not been important. They've helped SEO, they've helped drive content, they've helped drive traffic. Today, AI is training itself on company information by scraping through internet web pages, social media posts, academic papers, government documents, etc., to learn about any given topic. And so it is um, not just scraping media, it's scraping company websites. So if you don't have a blog, go get one and start publishing once a week. If you aren't doing a podcast, start being a guest on them. Start guesting on them. If you're not doing video, you got to do video. Shorts, even if you can just do shorts, whatever you're doing on Instagram or or TikTok, put it up on YouTube Shorts because YouTube Shorts is going to be the place where more is going to be valued there. So more content, the better, because it's going to be valued as authoritative content, therefore valuable. And the more you put up on your website about what you're doing, what your point of view is, how you go to market, what you're offering, the more content there will be to be training AI on your category, not just yourself, not just your own company, but your category, right? So, well written, answer questions, provide all the information in an easy to read format or easy to hear format, and that is going to increase um, your favorability in generative AI search, which would mean that you were a source for an answer on a topic. This is great news for PR. So everyone's like, "Oh, AI is going to kill PR." No, it's not. No, it's not. We need to learn how to use it, right? So, of course, you want to proceed with caution. So, you want guidelines on how to do this. And we have created Generative AI Policy Code of Conduct, which most agencies have, to give you give our team the guardrails, etc. It's not AI is not perfect. Gemini is not perfect. Claude, all of them, they're not perfect. And so they're called the AI hallucinations, which gives you inaccurate outputs, but they're served up as true. So even though they're not, so you have to have the human element um, in all that you do in terms of when you get your answers. But the better stuff you put up on your own websites, the better chance you have of having your stuff be a reference document for the answers. But obviously, if you're looking at the results of AI search, you want to double check because it can be wrong. It's often wrong, right? If you don't, we've talked about this before. If you don't have your own narrative, someone's going to make it up for you, right? So you got to own your story, own your narrative. If AI can't find your voice, it'll use somebody else's, and then it'll be harder to undo. So now is the time for you to make sure that you have your voice declared and start sharing your voice in many places. If you just share it on the things that you own, do that. Then add LinkedIn. Then you can, the things, all the things. But if you not talking, someone's going to talk for you. And that's it was always true. And now it's really, really true. Um, Focus less on search rankings and more on what AI says about you. So go ahead, go Google yourself. Go put yourself into Claude or ChatGPT or whatever you want to use and see what comes. See what comes out. Then go do the same for your competitor and see what comes out and see where you need to be and see what you need to do to be training AI to use your source as source material and sources so that your company starts to rank higher in the category. Something to think about as a way of framing this is that you're not optimizing for Google anymore. You're training AI to get your story right. I'm going to say that one more time. You're not optimizing just for Google anymore. You're training AI to get your story right. You want to be the source, not the subject of AI-powered storytelling today. Okay? All right. Go on over to doubleforte.com, over to resource page, download the POV. Happy to answer any questions. You can email me at lcaraher@doubleforte.com. Happy to answer any questions. All right.